Joe, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community.
Welcome to Walk with Elias. I'm your host, Elias J. Williams, and we're going to discuss the clip that you just listened to. Not because I ain't black, but we got to talk about it. Take a walk with me.
Yeah, if I don't vote for Biden, I don't think my blackness is scratching off. I mean, try a little bit more. Might get a little ashy, but it ain't going nowhere. You gotta be kidding me. If I don't vote for you, Mr. Biden, I'm not black. Despite what the media is saying, or despite the apologies, black people should definitely have a problem with what Joe Biden said. And the reason is simple. In fact, there are three reasons. Number one, here's a good reason. Turn down the narratives. Turn down all the things that you've heard from Trump and you've heard about Trump. And just take a look around your community. Take a look within your community. Take a look in your day-to-day life. What has actually changed since Trump has been in office? You still go to work. You still come home. You still see your spouse. You still see your kids. You go out to eat. You come home. You play video games. You record YouTube. It's relatively normal. In fact, I would argue and say that as a black person, I have not been more fearful for my life over the last 4 years than at any other point in my life. It's not like I've seen a spike in black killings that, were not happening when Obama was in office. I haven't seen, where my life is in significant more danger. And I'm definitely not seeing the race war that sometimes the media can portray, or the outside the race baiting. When I talk to people within my community, within my immediate space, when I travel to different places, I don't see this level of hostility that is typically portrayed. And yet, as a black person, if you listen to most black people, you will think we've been through hell with Trump the last 4 years. That just isn't accurate. At least not for me. And if you're watching this, I implore you to truly ask yourself how accurate that is for you. And keep in mind, you're putting aside your personal feelings about how he should act in office and the things he should say as a president, all this other stuff that comes with, what we perceive a president should be and how we should act. Throw all that out of the window. I'm just asking you to identify if your life has been as bad as has been suggested. It probably hasn't. Which brings me to my next point. The Democrats, when they want our vote, what do? They pander to us. They pull hot sauce out of their bags. Hillary. They go to a local, like a little truck stop, and eat a piece of pork chop, even though they're Muslim. Kamala. Or they flat out tell us, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Biden. But when they actually get into office, they kind kind of do things like call black people super predators and pass bills that make sure that they're off the streets and incarcerated. Damn. You ask for my vote, get my vote, and then you do nothing for me. Interesting. Whereas if you take a look at Trump, even though Trump panders, the same, which is what that's called, it's called pandering, Trump tends to pander to white supremacists and, say things that draw the attention of them, good attention. And yet, you look at some of the bills and the things that Trump has signed, and him getting ASAP Rocky out of the other country and releasing this other black guy who had been wrongly incarcerated. You kind of see him actually doing things for black people. See where I'm coming from here? The words may line up this way, but the actions actually line up this way. And on the reverse side, for Democrats, the words line up this way, and the actual actions have it lined up. So that makes me wonder, is Trump in office really a black people problem? Or is it a white people problem? And they just want us to think that it's a black people problem. You see, Trump makes white people look bad. He makes white people look unintelligent. You know what white people don't want to do? They want to look like supreme beings because to them they are. So that's white supremacists. So you have a guy like Trump who is in office, who does all of these things, especially at a high level, and he comes off as very ignorant, belligerent, all of these things that makes typical white person probably a little bit ashamed to be white. So if you have to think about it, it's possible that the Democrats want Trump out of office and they need our help. Does that not put our vote, does that not put us in a position of power? Yet here Biden is trying to manipulate us into just handing over our vote by saying, you don't vote for me, you're not black. Well, shit. Most of us want to be considered black. A lot of us are like, I'm black. What do you mean I'm not black? I'm black. My ancestors have been voting Democrat for all of my life, and so, hey, to honor my ancestors, my black ancestors, I should vote Democrat. The hell have the fucking Democrats done in that time span? But take the votes and run and do what they've wanted to do after they've gotten the votes. See, I don't subscribe to that lesser evil kind of thing, right? Because contrary to what I've been saying, is I'm not actually pro-Trump. I'm not saying you should vote for Trump. I'm not saying you should not vote for Biden. What I am saying is that you should be voting for what's best for you and your community and not what TV says you should do or public personas like Jamil Hill said you should do. Tone all that down. You do your own research. Google works. You look for your own data, you come to a conclusion based off of what you can find. Not what the people in your ear are saying. Not what your groups of friends are saying. Especially after the data that they got that was probably incorrect. You do your own research. And you don't necessarily have to vote Republican or Democrat. You can vote independent. But as long as you vote based on what you feel is best and not just going with the flow of things and not just going with the crowd and not being manipulated, that's what you do. So I heard a guy say Biden is my second best, my third best option, my fourth best option, or my fifth best option. But he'll do. Are you that emotional about Trump that you're willing to settle just to get the man out of office? You know how many people are in relationships with people they don't really want to be in? That they would just like, oh, well, can't find anybody else, so this person I have to do. And then they're completely unhappy in the relationship. Why are you trying to convince people to settle again? Just to get another guy out of office? So much so that you're willing to explain away what Biden just said? See, because half the stuff that Trump says, he isn't even talking to black people. He's not talking to me. He's never told me I'm not black if I don't listen to what Trump, the stuff Trump says is like so otherworldly that if you're paying that much attention to it, it says more about you than it does him. But Biden was talking directly to me. And though I'm not angered by it or disappointed by it, because I would, in order to be disappointed by someone, you have to, hold them on a pedestal. Not disappointed by what he said, but if that wasn't, as much as people talk about the stuff that, that Trump says that's blatant racism, if that wasn't the most undercover racist thing he could have said and then tried to pass it off as a funny, I don't know what you're seeing. You got a decision to make. It's coming up, and you need to do your research. Don't just take my word for it, because again, I'm not telling you who to vote for at all. Just don't make a decision based off of trying to get one man out of office or what your ancestors did. Make a decision off of that. And hey, if you think like me, then it means that, hey, if Trump goes in office another few years and he keeps screwing things up, then it'll completely tear everything down into rubble and it'll have to be rebuilt because the entire United States was built on trash anyway. It's built on slavery. It's built on corrupt. So until you tear it completely down, you can't continue to build things up on a creaky foundation. It's going to crumble every so often. So you have to completely wipe everything away and redo the foundation. So if you think like me, then you probably don't mind Trump being in office because the more he screws up and exposes things, it's actually probably the better that it is. But that's just me. I love you today. I'll be here tomorrow.